55% of the population is languishing. It's an older stat, it's a few years old, but it still means that 1 out of 2 of us are just feeling not progressing.
That's not...
Not growing,
yeah.
Feeling stuck.
It's 2025, and like many of you, I've set my New Year's goals. But according to Drive research, 92% of adults will not follow through on their New Year's resolutions. That's a terrible statistic. I want to make real progress this year. I want to be part of the 8%. But I've learned that thinking about success, dreaming about success, that isn't enough to actually achieve success. That's why I've invited Dr. Rachel Gonzalez Levy, an organizational psychologist, HR leader, and life coach for today's episode of Limitless. We're going to explore how to turn awareness into action. Dr. Gonzalez Levy has helped thousands through coaching workshops, and now she's sharing her valuable insights with us. As a wife and mother, her personal journey includes navigating her daughter's battle with chronic Lyme disease, which led her to re-examine her approach to success. Rachel, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited for this new show and to be a part of it and share what I know to help people make 2025 their best year yet.
Limitless.
Yeah. Limitless.
Right? Well, I just want to share with the audience, first of all, I really want to conquer my goals this year. You know, every year, when I say that I want to be a part of the 8%, I really want to be a part of the 8%.
We're going to make it happen.
Okay.
Here, let's cheers to that.
Oh, cheers to that. Cheers to the 8%
All right,
of making
I'm going to
our
be
New
in the
Year's
8%
goals.
with you. Okay.
Okay. And for the audience, because I want to get into your background and have you share, you know, your professional experience, but for the audience, how long have we been friends?
Let's see, 10, 15 years, you think?
Yeah, a long time. Yeah. Okay. So every year we have a working mom's holiday party, right? The first year I wanted to go to a Tony Robbins conference.
You have an amazing memory. I can't remember what I wanted all
well,
those years.
I'm going to tell you.
Oh, yeah?
I'm going to tell you
because you remember mine.
This is almost why I invited, this is really why I invited you here today. So the goal was, and you and I were sitting next to each other, it was a huge table, there were probably 15 of us women, and as we went around, we both talked about wanting more patience. And not just patience in general, but how we were parenting our kids. So we wanted more patience with our kids. We wanted to communicate better with them. And you said to me, you're like, the irony is, I help leaders and team members, you know, communicate better all day long. And maybe you can kind of, you know, expand on that. But you're like, I help them communicate better all day long, but I go home and I can't communicate in the way that I should with my kids.
Yeah.
And I felt the same way. So I'm just kind of curious, did you get to your goal? And we have a lot to talk about, but.
That is amazing you remember that. And you're right, by background as an organizational psychologist, part of what I do is help make workplaces better. And it's with leaders and teams, helping them reach their goals and helping them work together more effectively. And communication is a big, big part of that.
Right.
And I think about back where I was in my parenting journey, and unfortunately, I am sure I probably did not reach my goal where I wanted to that year. Yeah. And as a quick sidebar, I've been thinking about the whole New Year's resolution thing and how your report that you cited said something like 8% of people actually achieve their New Year's resolution. And I do think we set ourselves up for failure in a lot of ways with that because they're not specific and they're not measurable. But we'll get more into, I think, let's talk about what makes a good goal.
Yeah.
Now, I want to answer your question about how I
wasn't going to let you off the hook.
Okay. So the question was, how did I do? It was probably several more years until I really learned how to communicate better with my children. And I did that through finding better connection. You know, when we're raising little ones, they are so responsive to like what we need to have them do, like put on your shoes, put on your jacket, get your backpack, and it just like continues where it's very directive, the parenting. And that's not really relationship building. The child doesn't necessarily feel seen or understood when it's just so focused on directing the children to activities and things that they have to do.
It's teaching them how to make decisions. And so let's back up for a second, because I want to get back to this part. Tell me about your background, because I think it's really important for our listeners to know, what your historical professional career is and your education.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm an organizational psychologist. If anyone follows Adam Grant, who's from Wharton, he kind of made that profession popular and famous. His tagline for what he does and studies is he helps make work suck less, or something catchy like that. And I would describe that over my career when I was in corporate HR for over 20 years was to help leaders and teams reach their goals more effectively together.
Okay.
And I started my career in research because I am really fascinated. I was back then, and I continue to be very interested in human behavior, motivation, but also why two different people under the same circumstances have such different outcomes or such different reactions. And we see that at work, like under a certain leader, like, oh, this leader's the greatest, and somebody else maybe finds them
Not so great.
Not so great,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like, what are the circumstances that, if there's a big change, how is it that some thrive and then some, it's like the beginning of their demise?
And some dive, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was very interested in that, and then I pivoted into these internal roles and did less of the research and just more of the implementation of working with leaders and teams. So that was my background. And this whole time that I've been working, I finished my doctorate 7 months pregnant with my twins, who are now 21. And so for my career, I was a working mom. So that's much of my identity as well. And I think that you mentioned that one of our daughters was navigating a chronic illness. And when I left corporate HR, it did give me the time and the space and the breath to really focus on her health. Because at that time, even like a year ago this time, we didn't have a diagnosis. There was just a lot of symptoms. So we continue to be on that journey. And to me, like, nothing has shaped my journey more than children, because they won't necessarily like positively react to all the coping strategies that we've developed up until that point.
Right.
So
Well, and I think children help us grow, right? They're really a mirror in some ways of ourselves. They're an opportunity for us to either stay where we're at or learn how to evolve. And I've always wanted to get better with my kids. And we are the parent that we know. So if you're not really seeking out information and trying to grow, your style of parenting will never change. And I think as generations evolve, parenting styles have to change. And one thing about you that I really admire, that I want people to know, and I wanted you to share this journey and kind of your outcome of this, is over the last year in 2024, when you ended up leaving work and pivoting because your daughter was dealing with Lyme, you also went on a journey around learning new approaches for coaching and for helping people shift their
and health, I was like
and health.
hiking, which I had never done before.
You went on this journey. It was mind, health, body, spirit. And I said to you, so fast forward, the original goal that I had said at the Working Moms group, I wanted to go to a Tony Robbins event. So this past year, we ended up going together to the Tony Robbins event.
We did. That deserves another cheers.
Cheers. And that was really a life-changing moment.
Thank you so much for bringing my attention to that and inviting me and encouraging me. I'll just share that when you had called my attention to it, it was already fall. And I said, I think I've invested enough already. I'm good.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I went.
You are, right?
Yes.
Well, because I thought when I invited you that you weren't going to come. Because I'm like, first of all, this is your profession. You've gone through all this training. You've done a lot of the journey this past year. I was like, oh, you won't go. I really wanted you to go. And when you said yes, I was like, wow. And it really shows me that you have that growth mindset. You will never stop seeking. And for the viewers out there, to me, that is one of the most important skills to have in life. That if you want to be a success, because we're going to talk about a success formula, if you want to be a success or have good habits, always look to grow.
Part of when you stop on the hamster wheel and you get a little more space, you're able to reflect and think. And I had a coach friend encourage me to go to Tony Robbins. And then also later, closer to the date, my husband had asked me, who had listened to him on like a Walkman in the 90s, he asked me if I wanted to go. And so I just felt like your invitation was like the third nod, you know, like you should consider going.
Yeah, if you hear it 3 times, you have to follow it. So when you said yes, I was surprised, but in such gratitude when you did. And it prompted me to ask you a question that I want the viewers to hear, and that was this. You went through all this training, learning all new approaches, or lots of different types of approaches, and you have all your background that you've learned. What was your takeaway? Like if you had one takeaway from all of that?
Yes. So I would say, that question stumped me when you asked me. We were driving home at probably like 1 o'clock in the morning. For anyone who's been to Tony Robbins, you don't get out of there before midnight. And as I continue to reflect on it now, I would say that my big takeaway from Tony, and then I'll talk about my 2024 takeaway, is a lot of what he talks about the state. Mm-hmm. Like you can affect your outcomes through caring for your physical state. So How else would you say it? So just like managing your energy through nutrition, but also he has you do, quick exercises to get your circulation going. So there was a lot of takeaways, but that was one that you can feel because he pushes you so much from a time perspective. And when I was working in corporate for so long, our learning and workshops got whittled down to like 45 minutes. Oh. Like, okay, you can get 45 minutes of this team's attention. Otherwise, after that, then, people start to get distracted. The stadium had 14,000 people.
Yeah.
And he kept people there,
all hours.
Yes.
Early in the morning to very late at
9
night.
or 10 we started.
Of the morning, yeah.
So I really enjoyed, especially as someone more like midlife, to find energy. Mm-hmm. So that I recommend. In terms of what I learned about personal change and growth that was different last year is that I did pick a life coach school, which is really different than any kind of workplace coaching I had ever been exposed to. So a lot of workplace coaching focuses on behaviors or habits, mm-hmm. like what are the things that you could do to be a more approachable leader? You can walk around when it's work from the office day, or what are the behaviors if you're looking to exercise more? You could put your sneakers and your gym clothes out the night before. A lot of coaching at work focuses on the behavior, like how you run a meeting, how you start and end a meeting, eye contact, all of those things. And then workplace coaching also involves a lot of mindset, like how you think of people and teams. But I would say that what I learned last year was that there are other ways to, when people get stuck, to address those blocks.
Mm-hmm. So talk more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into that. So let's pick on the most common New Year's resolution, the theme around health, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. If it's go to the gym more.
Because there are common blocks, right? I mean, we all feel really unique on why we don't accomplish things, but you're saying that there's common blocks that everyone experiences.
Yeah, if people want to really understand and make sure that they've knocked out any kind of, a block could be an inside, like the way you think and feel about yourself or your situation, or an outer block, like this is a perfect example. I am supposed to be tracking my steps, and I have an iWatch or Apple Watch, I think it's called, and I don't have a good charger. Like the box didn't come with it, and so I'm constantly not charged. And I can charge it if I borrow one of my daughter's chargers.
Oh, that's so annoying.
It just that's an outer block.
That's a derailer. Yeah.
It's a derailer. It's an outer block. An inner block for a New Year's resolution around walking. So first, before I talk about inner blocks, outer blocks, if you, James Clear of Atomic Habits is someone who does an excellent job that talks about behavioral habits. I think he's got like a multi-step framework. Everything from putting healthy food visible instead of the candy jar. He talks a little bit about identity, like think of yourself as someone who works out if you want to work out. So let's say you've done all those things, you've thought about it, and then it's February and you have given up on your New Year's resolution already. So one of the factors is because, and we've talked about this in the workplace, the goal is not well written. So in workplaces, it's an acronym, SMART.
Yep.
Yes. So if it's got to be specific and measurable. And sometimes if people say, I just want to go to the gym more, you could say that that's not specific.
Right.
Or if they want to lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds. If you broke down the goal, for example, in January, all I'm going to do is drink lemon water every day when I wake up. In February, then I'm going to add having vegetables fill half my plate at lunch and dinner. And then in March, I'm going to add walking 5 days a week. So you really break it down, and then you break it down into something that's very achievable. That's the A in the SMART.
Okay.
Relevant, you're going to pick activities that align to like why you're doing it. You want to lose weight, for example. And then time bound. So that's I'm going to try this for 30 days, then I'm going to add this healthy habit. So that's one of the reasons why the New Year's resolutions fail. I think another one that I would add is that most people go into a New Year's resolution like thinking it's going to fail.
So for me, I would say that what I've learned is also when you talk about being specific and measurable, I haven't written things down in the past. I mean, it lives up here. And so as long as it's living up here, it's more of a dream than an actual goal. So what are those internal blocks? How do you overcome that?
Yeah, so let's get to know that.
Yeah.
So for coaching, you've got James Clear and the behaviors, and then mindset. Carol Dweck writes about that. But going back to like what you asked, what I learned, it is doing this internal work. And as people who have, like I worked 20, 25 years full time, a lot of us are on hamster wheels and we haven't spent so much time reflecting. And the pandemic really helped me with that. I'm a very strong extrovert who used busyness as my coping strategy. And I began to learn the joy and pleasure of just reflecting and spending more time with myself. So you were asking, what's the question again about how we uncover them?
Yeah, uncover the internal blocks. And are they common? Do you have common ones?
So I would say first how you uncover them is to allow them to come to you with curiosity. So if you're somebody with like a very strong internal critic or a judge, the silenced part of you isn't going to feel welcomed.
Right.
You can understand that, right? Like,
is that like a limiting belief or a story you're telling
It's a limiting
yourself?
belief, like, oh, I shouldn't feel that way. So, for example, one of my inner parts who really ruled the show for most of my life was that life should be fun and discomfort avoided. And she served me well, you know, like she brought a lot of joy. She brought a lot of fun. And she, through a lot of adversity, gave me resilience. There are times that were hard in my life that I navigated through And I once had a leader give me a compliment, like, you are so resilient. Like, you really don't get caught up in things. And I really began to reflect on that. And I said, why does, and being resilient is actually different than short-circuiting an emotional experience.
Okay, because I was going to say resilient isn't so bad.
No, but it looks the same. It's like, oh, Rachel's not crumbling down. And it's from the avoidance, the I'm going to work my way around it. Resilience is actually facing it, navigating it, getting the support to process it and then make through it.
Got it. And
isn't
growing
avoidance,
from it.
And growing from it.
So do you create habits, like success habits?
Yeah, so, all right, I think I have a couple ideas. So where I was going with my prior story was around curiosity. So you're not going to get to your inner blocks with judgment. And a lot of very successful people, if you look at leaders at the top, they are skilled at discerning and taking in large amounts of information and being able to make a pretty quick decision from that. And that's very powerful. Curiosity is sort of the opposite of that. You can't hold judgment with sort of preconceived notions, the preconceived answers, and curiosity. So curiosity is also the answer of how I improved my relationship with my daughters.
Right.
Like, instead of focusing on whatever I needed them to do, just seeking to understand. So curiosity helps us drive our understanding of one another and ourselves.
Like asking questions why someone's responding a certain way, why am I feeling a certain way when, in the presence of them, and is that what you mean?
Yeah, like, what does it mean about, like, what is happening to me right now that I'm feeling angry? I'm not feeling angry right now. But I'm saying, like, when that gets sparked.
Yes.
Like, oh, why am I feeling giddy? Like, what's happening? Or another, not just why is it happening, but going back to the New Year's resolution, what do I get from procrastinating exercise? So we all get something. So let's say last night, my daughter works at a really great chocolate store. And so she'll bring stuff home like 4 out of 5 work days.
Right.
And so as we're all trying a new chocolate bar last night and loving it, I thought, this is bonding. So what I get from indulging in the chocolate is
Bonding with her.
Bonding with the family.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And so just being aware of what we get from the habits that might be in conflict with the goals we want to create.
Okay, so tie this together for me. So in terms of New Year's resolution, you're building relationships, moving from awareness to action. There's the external and internal.
Yes.
Right? The external is more behavioral, and the internal is more unconscious or conscious. Is that right?
Yeah, it's more unconscious. So giving your space time to welcome that in and create that understanding.
Okay.
In our coaching model, we call that awareness.
Give me like 2 tools that will help people to actually understand how to implement that.
Yes. So this is I'm going to give a resource, because it's, I think, going to be hard to cover in such short time. Once you move to awareness, you don't just move to action.
Okay.
There's a step in between of acceptance and being willing to acknowledge perhaps the we call in the coaching school, the misunderstanding of the limiting thought. So to pick on my eating chocolate bark with my family last night, becoming aware, I'm mistaking this as family bonding, like that the chocolate is what's necessary, that the consuming of the chocolate is necessary.
Oh, see, I thought it was okay that was a bonding thing. You're saying that you shouldn't tell me, I think I'm misunderstanding. Because I was like, oh, that's bonding. That's amazing over the chocolate.
It is. But this is where the misunderstanding is. Do I need to eat, a quarter pound of it? No. Do I need to do it? Do I need to do it every time she comes home?
I see
every
what
time
you
she
mean.
does.
Oh, I see. I got you.
Yeah, and so when we know our deeper desire, that is what we're looking to do is connect and bond, we can then take it in smaller doses.
I got you.
Chocolate.
I'm
Yes.
with you now. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And so this is where it's really helpful to have a friend or coach or sounding board. Because when I was doing the work last year, I'd always get stuck in the this acceptance phase. But it's very powerful because for I love that we've picked up this example because it's chocolate. But it's from the University of Santa Monica, and it's called Compassion and Self-Forgiveness. I've made a slight modification for those who are new to it. And the template is, I acknowledge that I had a misunderstanding, that like partaking in chocolate every single night was important for the bonding. The truth is that having our healthy meal together and listening to one another and sharing funny stories and being available is the foundation of bonding. The truth is that I don't need like the quarter pound and that I can take a little sample. And the truth is I don't need to do that every time she brings home chocolate.
Right. Limitless is my show. It's about perseverance and just going after and conquering obstacles or, fulfilling those goals. How are you going to live limitless this year?
How am I going to live limitless? So limitless I see as like not being held back by limits, by boundaries.
Yep.
But I also want to have compassion for like the parts of me or for others who are listening who feel stuck.
Yeah.
So how am I going to, I'm focusing on home, health, and heart.
Yeah.
I really want to pour all my energy and hope and what's possible into my daughter's full recovery, who's, she's been really battling her chronic illness. And then to the degree that I can, reach out and support people who are also looking for the support to break through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of what makes life sweet is finding your passion and what you're good at, but using that to also serve people, right? So you're an extraordinary woman, and I really admire the journey you've been on. You're one of my favorite people to reach out to talk and work through ideas. And 15 years later, I think it's really funny that we still talk about our goals. And every year it evolves. So I can't thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say I equally share the admiration, and I enjoyed so much this talk. And it reminds me of those nights that you've driven me home, and we end up like, you're like, I'm turning the car off after like the first
20 minutes. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, you're this show. I think it's going to it's coming at such an important time. I think there's a recent stat from BetterUp that said something like 55% of the population is languishing, and that is they're not mentally ill, they're not suffering from mental illness, however, they're not thriving. So that's more than, it's an older stat, it's a few years old, but it still means that 1 out of 2 of us are just feeling not progressing.
That's not...
Not growing, feeling stuck.
If you're not growing, you're dying. I think that might be in my outro. It's true. So always be looking to grow. And that's what I admire most about you.
Well, thank you for bringing us together and creating the show. It's going to make a real difference, I hope, for people, the series.
Cheers to that.
All right, cheers.
Thank you for coming on today. I so appreciate it. And thank you for joining us today. Limitless isn't just a show where we're celebrating a human spirit. It's a testament to the power and the perseverance and a bold reminder that we all have the ability to write or rewrite our own story. There's a saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. So make 2025 your best growth year yet by seeking help when needed, share your expertise to help those in need, and continue to join us on our Limitless journey where you can learn specific tools how to be the best version of yourself every single day. For more programming like this, please visit HTTV's website or any of our social media channels. Thank you for watching Limitless. I'm Lisa Allen. We'll see you soon.